Hi, everybody. So, earlier this week, MsMojo came out with a new video about Friends references and other TV shows. I haven't seen a lot of the episodes that were mentioned in this video, but actually, one episode I have seen and I wanted to talk about was Like a Diamond from Cougar Town. So, in this episode, there are two references to Friends made that I'm not sure other Friends fans may have caught. The first is when Sam gets into the auto accident with Jules, and he asks Jules where she wants to get coffee. If people didn't notice, that was a reference to the finale of Friends, which is where Chandler had his final line when he asks where they want to get coffee as they're all leaving the apartment above Central Park. The reason why that line is so iconic is the fact that they knocked down the Central Park set to make room for the airport set. For those of you who did not know. So, in all of the episodes that we have watched of Cougar Town up to this point, I just wanted to talk about a few other references or other nods to Friends episodes that I have noticed. So there are two specific things I wanted to mention was the father-daughter relationship. So one thing I always enjoy about Friends is the relationship between Monica and her dad Jack, and it wasn't really expanded upon very much in the series, and I really wish it had been. Two scenes that stood out to me that had them in them were in the one where Nana dies twice, where they're at Monica's apartment after the funeral, and Jack is talking to Monica about how he wants his funeral planned. And then the second one is in the one with the Princess Leia fantasy when he comes to check on her after her breakup with Richard, and they have a talk, and then she falls asleep on the couch, and then he kisses her on the head. I think that's really sweet. Now, in Cougar Town, there are a couple of different instances, actually, in Cougar Town with the father-daughter relationship between Jules, who is played by Courtney Cox, and her father, Chick. I don't have the cast list names in front of me for Cougar Town right now, so I can't look up the actor's name who plays Chick Cobb, but 3 episodes that stand out to me are the episode we watched last night, which is called Make It Better, where Chick comes to Jules's house to recover from an ankle sprain, and this scene takes place at the end of the episode where they're sitting in the hammock and they're talking about like taking care of each other, because while Chick is recovering from his surgery, Jules suffers from a kidney stone and she's in a lot of pain, but she doesn't want to make a big deal out of it because she knows that her dad is not feeling well and can't really take care of her. So she kind of ends up passing out on the floor in the living room next to the couch that he's relaxing on, and that's when she realizes she needs to go to the hospital to get her kidney stones checked out. And then the other scene is in the episode in season 3 for the finale, where Jules and Grayson go to elope, and Jules asks her father to be ordained as the minister for their ceremony. That episode is really sweet because you can tell how much Chick's character is welling up with emotion because his daughter is getting married. And then the third father-daughter moment between Chick and Jules is between them in season 2, episode 6, when she's dressed up in the princess costume for the Halloween dance, and her father comes to talk to her before she goes into the Halloween dance, and they have a heart-to-heart about how hard it was for them to deal with the loss of her mother when she was younger. And, like, that's something I wish that had been explored more. Like, how old Jules was when her mother died, what she died of, and, like, what kind of impact the grief had on their family. So I really wish I could find out from Courtney Cox, like, what she would have liked to develop better in the father-daughter relationship between Jules and her dad, since in Friends they didn't really get to explore that very well with Jack and Monica. Another episode we recently watched was season 4, episode 7, Flirting with Time. This episode is pretty similar to the one with the flashbacks because it basically focuses on how all of the characters met each other. And the flashbacks in this episode are brought on by the fact that new neighbors are moving into the neighborhood, and they are buying Grayson's house, and all the other characters are reflecting on how they met each other. And that's when you realize that Jules and Bobby were kind of from another southern state, because you can tell because of their accents, but I couldn't really tell what state they were supposed to be from. Maybe it was Kentucky or something, but I couldn't really tell. What I like best about the episode of Friends with the flashback is basically that's how you could predict that Chandler and Monica were going to end up together, because in that episode, Monica goes through a really bad breakup, and Chandler is there in the apartment to comfort her. And that's when you can really tell the first seeds of them being together. And another recent episode we watched that makes reference to Friends is not... So there's no direct episode of Friends that this episode of Cougar Town references. It mostly just talks about the entertainment block of shows that Friends was on, when it was on NBC, it was called Must See TV. And Friends was on every Thursday night after Mad About You. And Jules makes reference to this because in a previous conversation, she was talking about Seinfeld, which was also part of Must See TV. Seinfeld was always on at 7, Mad About You was on 8, and Friends was on at 9. And it's amazing how I remember that. So anyway, that's what I just wanted to log on briefly to talk about today. Have a good weekend.